Welcome to Chester Ultra 50-mile race brief. My name is Wayne Drinkwater and I'm the Race Director at GB Ultras, and today we're going to cover some of the key points that you may need to know for the event itself. So the start and finish venue is at Ellesmere Port Sports Village, a fantastic complex, and there's an athletics track which will host the start line and the finish line, and that's at the rear of the complex. As you pull into the car park, on the right hand side of some AstroTurf football pitches is a walkway which will lead you to the outbuilding and race registration beside the track. Okay, so race registration will be held at the athletics track, the outbuilding beside the athletics track, on the Friday prior to the events from 5:30 p.m. until 9 p.m. or alternatively on race day morning prior to the event from 4:15 a.m. till 5:30 a.m. The bib number can be collected on the Friday, but on the Saturday and only on the Saturday can you collect your tracker. Okay, so regardless of whether you picked up your bib number or not, on the Friday you still need to come and see the team and collect your tracker. If you've ordered a optional finisher's tech tee for the Chester Ultra 50 mile, please collect at race registration. So when you've collected your GB race tracker at race registration, please ensure that it's worn on the outside of your pack. So there is a Velcro fastener just on the rear of the tracker, and that will help it secure to maybe your shoulder or the back of your pack. Please make sure that it's on the outside and not tucked inside the backpack itself. It needs direct line of sight with the sky in order to work effectively. Prior to the event, we'll be sending the link for family and friends to follow you during the Chester Ultra 50 mile, and it is updated at 2-minute intervals, providing there is signal. Okay, so the Chester Ultra 50 mile starts at 6 a.m. sharp for a mass start, and then after that you'll be following a number of signs and markings along the route. But really the race route is made up of 3 main parts. First of all, it's the Shropshire Canal, and then it is the Sandstone Trail. So the Sandstone Trail is a national trail like such. Okay, so really from 20 miles all the way up to Frodsham, which is at about 35 miles, you're going to be following a Sandstone Trail. And then after leaving Frodsham, you're then going to be joining on to the North Cheshire Way. Again, another well-marked route. But what we do during the event itself is we put up a number of laminated signs with arrows, and also red biodegradable tape. The red biodegradable tape is normally every 20, 30, up to 50 yards, depending on how straightforward that section is. In the immediate build-up to the race itself, course markers will be checked by the event team. So we'll just be making sure that everything in the course is as intact as we possibly can. Please bear in mind, though, that unfortunately sometimes route markers are taken down in the lead-up to the event. That's why it's really essential that you're aware that the race follows key trails, that is the Shropshire Canal, the Sandstone Trail and the North Cheshire Way. Also on the safety side of things, there are marshals at key road crossings throughout the event. These are sometimes quite busy roads. Please bear in mind that it is your responsibility to make sure it is safe to cross at that moment in time. Also, when it comes to watercourses such as the Shropshire Canal, there is a real risk of you falling in. Please be mindful of your footing on that terrain, which can be slippy. So checkpoint locations during the route itself. There are a number of checkpoints spread over the course of the Chester Ultra 50 mile. The thing is with a lot of these locations, sometimes there is limited parking. Okay, in terms of limited parking, it might be enough for the event team, but it might mean that if a number of support vehicles was to pull up, supporting the runners, wishing them well, then it may well clog up the local community, the road, block driveways, and so on and so forth. So it's really important that we emphasise that where there is no support crews permitted, that this is adhered to. Otherwise, it may have consequences on us reholding the event in the future. So checkpoint locations during the event itself. Checkpoint 1 is at 4 miles at Stoke on the Shropshire Canal. That is a water-only checkpoint with no support crews permitted. Checkpoint 2 is at about 8.7 miles on Towers Road in Chester. It is the Shropshire Canal runs beside the Chester City Wall, so it's a really nice location there. Again, really, in terms of port crews, you're more than welcome to ask your support crews to attend at that checkpoint, but please bear in mind that there is very limited parking and we need access and egress to that checkpoint location for our event team and emergency vehicles. So we've mentioned on the race instructions a alternative location for pay and display parking locally, or would recommend road parking locally again to advise them not to attend that particular location with their vehicle. So the next checkpoint is checkpoint 3, and that is Waverton Village Hall, a fantastic location just after Shropshire Canal. There are toilet facilities at that location and support teams are more than welcome there. Checkpoint 4 is at Crib Lane, and that is approximately 20 miles into the event itself. Support teams are more than welcome there again, but it is roadside parking, and just be careful of runners that may well be approaching a checkpoint if you're in your vehicle. Next up is checkpoint 5 at Delamere Forest, Barnesbridge Car Park, approximately 27 miles into the event and on the Sandstone Trail. There's an array of refreshments and food that are available for runners, and please bear in mind the support teams are more than welcome. There's also a toilet there as well, but support teams are more than welcome at that checkpoint, but please do not block access and egress to the car park itself. Please park up the road if the car park's full. Then runners will be heading to Frodsham at checkpoint 6. This is the turning point on the Sandstone Trail, so you'll be coming down some steps, hitting the checkpoint on the Sandstone Trail, and then you'll be leaving to go onto the North Cheshire Way, which will then take you towards Helsby Hill. It's a fantastic location there, and no support teams are permitted due to the lack of parking available. And then it's on to the final checkpoint for the Chester Ultra 50 mile, which is Dunham on the Hill Village Hall. We're really grateful to the community of Dunham on the Hill, allowing us to use the checkpoint location, which they did prior to COVID. One of the concerns that they had over the years is the number of cars that flock into the village, which block access, which mean that it's very difficult for residents to actually get out off the road. Also very difficult for the event team and the medical team to basically get into that checkpoint location. So it is unfortunately no support team access at that checkpoint. Dunham on the Hill Village Hall does have access to toilets as well as kitchen facilities, and there'll be a range of food and refreshment for our runners. So the most up-to-date GPX for the race route, if you wanted to add it to your watch prior to the event, is actually on our website. We will be doing a number of course checks in the lead up to the event. No paces are permitted during the Chester Ultra 50 mile, okay? So that basically means that if somebody says, I want to run 10, 15, 20 miles with you during the Chester Ultra 50, that's not permitted. Everybody's on an equal playing field when it comes to taking part in the event itself. So unless they're actually wearing a bib number, then they're not allowed to be running with you or carrying any of your kit during the race itself. The mandatory kit is the minimum standard kit that you need to carry during the Chester Ultra 50 mile. It is the minimum standard, so if you're carrying anything additional to that, you're more than welcome to do so. Extra nutrition, more socks, another base layer, anything like that. Please do take into mind that particularly this time of the year, conditions can change very quickly, especially over something that you might be out there for between 8 and 10 hours, 12 hours, 17 hours for some runners. So please do bear in mind, take additional kit if you feel that you need to, but that is the minimum standard kit that you need to carry. If during random kit checks, or if at the finish line we check your kit and it's not carrying what we've asked you to carry, then time penalties will be imposed. In terms of support teams, you're more than welcome to have a support team to follow your progress during the event. As we mentioned on the tracking side of things, we'll send you over a link which will give them a good idea of whereabouts you are during the event, updates at 2-minute intervals, providing a signal. The support points are really there so that it doesn't clog up the checkpoints as much, and so it means that you can still get the support that you might need from your family and friends, but when it comes to the checkpoint location, we can do the job that we need to do without us getting in your way of the support teams and them getting in our way. Another important point that we need to mention is litter. Sometimes it's accidental, you'll have a snack and you put it in your pack and then you might take your phone out and something drops out. So please just make sure that you dedicate maybe a certain pocket or anything like that to to storing that litter. And then when you get to a checkpoint, please make sure that you leave it with the checkpoint. There's less risk of it coming out of your pocket and being lost on the trail. There'll be another option to pick up the optional Finishers Tech Tee, Chester Ultra Tech Tee at the finish line if you wish to. In terms of footwear for the event itself, the event takes place on trail. It's largely trail based, so it can be very muddy in sections, so we would recommend a hybrid or trail based shoe. There are some sections of road or hard pack towpath, but at the same time, unless there's somebody supporting you during the event itself and you're switching, you're doing your research on a route and you're switching at certain points, it really would be, for me, a trail-based shoe that would be the choice. This leads on to the emergency instructions for the event. If there is a minor injury, please let a checkpoint, a race marshal or race HQ know. Only in emergency where there is a risk to life or limb, please follow these instructions. Number 1. Please use any spare clothing and use your foil blanket and ensure that you keep warm. Number 2, please trigger the SOS button on the front of your tracker. Just underneath the Race Tracker logo, there's a button there. Please hold it down for approximately 3 seconds and that will alert Race HQ. Please note it's no substitute to speaking to Race HQ on the phone. Number 3, please ring 999 and ask for an ambulance. Number 4, please inform Race HQ by phone. Number 5, please attract the attention of fellow runners or passers-by by using your whistle or shouting. This now completes the Chester Ultra video race instructions. Please note that race instructions will also be sent in email and there's added information in there. Thanks so much for checking out the video. If you have any questions, please feel free to email the team at events@gbultras.com. Please just let us know the nature of the inquiry and we'll be glad to help. But please do bear in mind that if it's the race week itself, then myself and the team may be out marking the routes, unloading vans and so on and so forth. So our preparations will be in full swing. So please do bear in mind, particularly if it's 1 or 2 days prior to the event, we can't guarantee a reply. Thanks so much for watching the virtual race brief and we look forward to welcoming you to Ellesmere Port Sports Village Athletics Track for the Chester Ultra 50 mile.